All right, good morning, everybody. These are the instructions for MOA and anybody who's out sick for Tuesday, January the 19th, 2021, the last full day of the Trump administration. Tomorrow, we will inaugurate a new president. We'll talk about that a little bit tomorrow. It is historic. Some people think it's great, some people think it's not great, but it's happening. So let's look at our agenda for today. Of course, we were off yesterday for the celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And today it says, I can analyze a primary source image, American Progress by John Gast, and I can review and summarize the main ideas in the Northwest Ordinance by responding to a secondary source reading and by completing a Google form. So we're doing document analysis today, one primary and one secondary. So let's click over to the Classwork tab. And the first thing I want you to do, notice we now have this category for westward expansion. And you have a new digital interactive notebook. And I want you to open that up and put your name on slide 1. And we're going to do slide 2 together. Okay. So in slide 2, we have this painting. Now, this painting comes from the 1870s after we've gobbled up all the land. And by the way, the land we're looking at is slide 4. And we'll get to these notes later. Okay. But this painting kind of walks you through that journey. So pause the video for a minute and just, I'm going to put a clean image of this on the screen. Pause the video and make some observations based on what you see going on in this image. Go ahead. Okay, so hopefully you notice some things like we have new technology here in the East. We've got the railroads, and we've got suspension bridges, and we've got steam-powered boats. We've got covered wagons. She's holding a telegraph line. So we have a new age of technology in the East. Our next unit, we're going to talk about all those technological innovations. Notice as well that we've got light here and darkness back there. The idea is that as America spreads across the continent, we're bringing the light of American civilization with us. Now, there's a cultural bias there, right? If you're a Native American, this doesn't feel like enlightenment, right? If you're a Native American, you're happy with your own civilization. You don't necessarily want this American civilization to replace yours. Thus, we see Native Americans flee. But to Americans in this time period, this feels like bringing light into the darkness. To the Native Americans, it feels like the exact opposite. It feels like being thrown into darkness and chaos, because as one civilization spreads, the other civilization declines, right? So that's one of the tensions we wrestle with, is as the United States grows and gets stronger and expands, there are other nations, Native American nations, that are threatened, some that cease to be, some that are radically transformed in ways they didn't want, ways that they regarded as harmful. So this is one of the things we struggle with. And then notice her, right? So you look at her, and first instinct is probably to think, well, this is an angel, right? So there's this idea of manifest destiny, that God wanted the United States to expand from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean, sea to shining sea. And so many people look at this image and they see her as an angel and they assume she's carrying a Bible. She's actually not carrying a Bible. And you could view her as an angel. I mean, the imagery of her looks a lot like angels. But look at her another way. She's carrying a Bible under one arm. She's wearing a Roman toga with one bare shoulder. She has a star-shaped crown in her hair. And her other hand carries a telegraph wire, which is a signaling device. Now imagine that instead of a wire, she's got the book in one hand. And in the other, instead of a wire, she's got a torch. Yes, this is Lady Liberty. Or sometimes referred to as Columbia, the Roman goddess of Republican liberty. So she is the embodiment of the idea of a representative republic, drawn straight from ancient Roman religion. John Gast painted this so that Christian observers could look at her and see an angel if they wanted, and non-Christian Americans could look at her and see a symbol of our constitutional government if they wanted, and people could look at her as both at the same time. okay? So on your little page here, we do ask about some of these things. So railroads and new technology, what you need to type here, these innovations made it possible to move west. Pause the video and fill that in. These innovations made it possible to move west. Okay, settlers and immigrants. So new Europeans from Germany, Ireland, and other countries, right? And new religious groups like the Mormons. Now, so that's what you want to add there. European immigrants from places like Germany and Ireland, and new religious groups like the Mormons move west to start new communities. That's something like those words need to go there. We're going to talk about those groups in much more detail in the next unit, but for now, that's what we need to know. Native Americans are being pushed west against their will. 49ers, gold is found in California in 1849. Gold is found in California in 1849. Immigrants move west to get it. And then finally, farmers. Farmers move west for new land. That's it. That's everything that goes on this image. So if you didn't catch all that, pause, rewind. You know what to do. Finish this page. You can also Google this stuff. You can use these links, right? Or, hey, I just told you the answers. Pause, rewind, type in the boxes. Okay, so that's the main task for today, but you do have another task, and that is this Google form on the Northwest Ordinance, which looks like this. The reading for it looks like this. This should look familiar. We did this back in the fall. Now, if you didn't have me in the fall semester, your teacher covered the Northwest Ordinance, they may have done a different activity. But this is a law, and that should say 1787. Oops, I need to fix my typo. Okay. Well, actually, it was written in 1785, it was passed in 1787. At any point, you need to fill these out, answer these questions, and turn it in. That's all there is to it. So, guys, that is our day today. Fresh video drops tomorrow. If you have questions, email me.